Hey guys, welcome back to Different Faces. I'm Pamela.
And I'm Fatima.
And for today's episode, we'll be talking about a topic that is not discussed nearly enough, and that is the loss of a child. While this conversation touches on a deep grief, it also talks about love, resilience, remembrance, and the strength that it takes to keep moving forward. We hope that this conversation brings understanding, comfort, and a connection that someone out there might need. We are very grateful for a guest that is trusting us with her story. Anyone who is out there that can relate to her story or to this video, thank you for sitting with us. All right, so our very special guest today, we have Clarita.
I'm
So
happy to be here, ladies. I'm happy to be
thank you
here.
for being here. I don't know if Pamela told you, but this comes out of her passion to just connect moms like you, like me, that are sometimes we don't have that village like right there, especially her. She's far away, and we decided to do
Mhm.
something that maybe can connect other moms who are feeling lonely. So this was
Yeah,
Yes, and not only moms, but every women going through our different phases of our lives. So whether kids, no kids, single, married, boyfriend, all women, you know. So
and I love it. I
we
love what you
all
guys are doing.
thank you. We do appreciate you for wanting to share your story with us and whoever is watching and anyone that can relate to your story.
I'm
Yes.
happy to share the story, and I'm happy I'm choosing your platform because honestly, I haven't talked about it, but this is new to me as well. So,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I mean whatever you're comfortable with sharing, this is your story.
Tam knows. We used to work together in the past. At that time, when we were working together, I was pregnant with my firstborn
Mm-hmm.
son, Jace. Yeah, I would say a pretty much healthy pregnancy. I had him 38 weeks,
Hmm.
was induced, so they made the labor come a little faster. Had a C-section because I was in labor for 3 days, and then people don't talk about that when you get induced and the risk and everything that comes with it. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm going to push my first child out. That was everything I wanted. I'm like, the vaginal delivery. I want this to happen,
Yeah.
but it didn't come out. It didn't turn out that way. I was in labor for 3 days, and I was like, that's it. Just cut me. Like I'm ready to cut. And of course, when my son came into the world. He was considered a preemie, but he wasn't a preemie. His lung wasn't fully developed. He had descended testes and a lot of issues that led him in the hospital for 10 months. 10 months of his life.
For 6 months?
10 months,
Oh,
10.
10 months. Okay.
yes. And he spent his whole life at the hospital. He only came home one day. Imagine a first time mom. Now I'm going through postpartum depression because
Yeah.
I never would have imagined my child would have been in the NICU or the PICU for this amount of time.
Right.
And to hear like different doctors tell you, hey, yeah, we're keeping him longer because we need him to feed on a whole bottle. To then he has multiple heart issues. So it was a lot. Just going through that and trying to stay strong just because I have a newborn in the hospital and going through postpartum. A lot of people don't talk about that because
Yeah.
before in the past, I never knew what postpartum was. Like I heard about it, but I never knew exactly like what it was and that it would happen to me.
Right.
And when I lost him, and I lost him on Mother's Day, on my first Mother's Day, he passed away. And that a lot of people didn't know he passed. So imagine me getting a whole bunch of text messages, Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my son just died. And it was just horrible. It was a horrible feeling night. And to this day, like
Hmm.
I can't really celebrate Mother's Day like that because it's just a reminder. But after he passed, my son Cairo, and I suffered postpartum even worse after
Oh,
that pregnancy.
Well,
It
before
was
you get
really
to
bad.
into your son coming in, did you said he was a preemie even though it was 38 weeks? Did they ever explain why his lungs weren't fully developed, or what were the doctors saying at this point?
So the day that I got induced to the hospital, they did their final ultrasound. They told me that he wasn't growing at the rate he was supposed to be. So although I was 38 weeks, he was growing at 34 weeker or 33 weeker. So he
Mm.
wasn't like he had infant growth retardation. That's what they call it, a IGUR. Remember the medical term, but he wasn't growing at the rate he was supposed to. So it was a lot of things that they didn't catch during my initial ultrasounds that I was going through during my pregnancy. So that one of the reasons why he developed so many like premature undescended testicles, and everything else was boom, boom, boom.
And your days after his birth was you spent in NICU with him, going back home and back and forth, I'm guessing.
Yes, and so with me having a C-section, unlike I'm not sure if you ladies experience C-section or vaginal, but with C-section
Yeah,
you stay in the
Fatima had a
hospital.
C-section.
Oh, so you know you stay in the
Yes.
hospital a little longer compared to someone who has vaginal. So at that time, I couldn't even like get up because I had staples, and I had to walk from like the sixth floor to the second floor to see my child. And I think I kind of made that hospital like mom and babies needs to be together because it made no sense. Like we were
Yeah.
that far apart from our kids.
Yeah, I need to make it easier.
Yeah. So at that time, yes, but then when I got home with no baby, yeah, it was terrible. When I was breastfeeding, so I had to pump and go to the hospital, which was like 45 minutes away from my home.
Oh
So
my
I
gosh.
had to go back and forth every day.
And you couldn't stay with him?
No, at that
Mm.
hospital at the time, no.
But that even then, the doctors were saying everything's gonna be fine. There was hope for him to come home and live a normal life.
Yes, it was. They were telling me that they were like, oh, at that time, at that particular hospital, they were saying, he just the reason why they didn't send him home because he was underweight, because he was under 5 pounds, so they needed him to
Mm.
be 5 pounds or more to be sent home. Like then they were like, oh, he's not fully feeding, he's not taking his full 2 ounce of milk or breast milk, so we got to make sure he's fully able to take 2 ounces before we send him home. And I'll never forget, they had a cardiologist come and check on his heart. And at that time, that cardiologist told me that everything was fine with his heart. To follow up, because when I was pregnant and when they did the ultrasound, they did find a VSD, which is a hole that typically closes on its own when the child
Mm-hmm.
before the child turns 1. And they told me that, oh, everything is fine. Just follow up with the cardiologist in 6 months. So in my head, I'm like, okay, like it's going home. Just like, there's other kids in the NICU, oh. But then as
Yeah.
I see days turn into weeks and weeks turn into now 2 months, like, hold on, what's going on? And at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I remember we was working with, the pediatrician. I reached out to one of the pediatricians, was like, hey, I know you're not overseeing my son. I know he's in the hospital, but I feel like something is wrong and I just
They're
don't
not
know.
telling you.
And they were trying to test him for everything else. Like, oh, we think, he has this issue, that issue. And every time they'll test him, they'll come back negative. And I remember she was like, you know what, just try to get me as much information or I'll try to pull in his chart. And the first thing she told me was, you need to transfer him to a children's hospital. From there, they had to fight for them to release my son, for them to transfer him to a children's hospital.
Hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Why was it a fight?
I guess because they knew what I will find out when he got transferred. Because when he got transferred is when I found out. Because when I transferred him after a fight to get my own child to another hospital, I thank God for the social worker at the time. She was amazing. When I got him to the hospital, my son had a VSD, a ASD, pulmonary stenosis, pulmonary hypertension. he had all these heart problems that he was supposed to have heart surgery when he was born. He
How did they
also
miss that?
had, and remind you, I said a couple minutes ago, they told me everything was fine with his heart all over 6 months.
Wow.
And he also had bacteria called neck. It usually happens with newborns when they force feed and like the milk causes like bacteria in their organs. It was just a lot of things that was going on that they neglected their heart.
Wow.
So by the time he got transferred to this children's hospital, he was already going to heart failure. So they had to make sure they cleaned out this infection, make sure they put him on a heart regimen to get his heart strong enough for heart surgery. So that was another like a whole like imagine me thinking, oh, this is just him feeding me for me to make him go home. So just now, your son has a lot of things going on.
Yeah. And
Mm.
it's crazy that they either, I mean, I don't think they missed it, just they neglected to tell you all the things that was happening.
So that's one of the
Wow.
reasons why they didn't want him to get transferred because
You will
they knew
find out.
this is I will find out. And it was just a lot. And then, the children's hospital was able to do genetic testing to find out, other issues, which was some of the issues were genetics. And he had 7 surgeries, 7 surgeries. Um, and it just was a lot. And then eventually, when he did go in for heart surgery, I would never forget that day. I just kept crying. And I think as a mom, like our motherly intuition is like, we know something is going to happen.
Hmm.
Like, I just felt like something was wrong. I just kept crying. And the doctors couldn't even do surgery that day. He came out and said, I'm not going to gamble with your son's life right now. His heart, it stopped. Like a regular heart pumps like this. His heart was
Hmm.
literally like just, and then he said, we're going to
Oh,
continue to monitor him and hope that his heart gets stronger. And it was just a lot of back and forth. He coded one time. He coded in 2 months before he actually passed. He coded, and it took 45 minutes to bring him back. And
wow.
I would just never forget. Like, I went to go see him that day. I was by his bedside, and I just seen my medical background. I just kept seeing his sats going down. And I remember going to like it was one of the doctors in the room. I'm like, is that normal? And then he was like, yeah, it's because he's kicking his feet. But I think my son was kicking his feet to like
Let you know
something is
something.
something is happening. And then I would just never forget his sat just hit zero. Like, and then all I heard was cold blue. And I'm like in a corner, just like, and like they're all like trying to like all the doctors rushed in and it took 45 minutes. And I just remember them telling me, oh, it's time for you to say goodbye to your son. It's nothing we could do right now. We're not getting a pulse. We had to do an emergency treat. And eventually they all walked out except for one doctor. He stayed and kept doing, CPR. He was like, I got a pulse. And that's when everybody came rushing back in. But at that time, my son already experienced brain damage because it's been 45 minutes since he had any
Oh
oxygen
my
going
God.
there. So of course, it was like touch and go after that. We had to they had to monitor his brain activity. And I remember they just said he would never be the same from there. But eventually he started beating all the odds. And I started having hopes again, but now I have a baby who has a trach. He
Yeah.
has a trach now and he has a G tube. So now I have a child with a disability. So imagine
Hmm.
me having a healthy pregnancy to now I have a child with disabilities
Yeah.
and having to learn like, okay, mom, when you go home, you're gonna go home with oxygen tank or a ventilator. And you're gonna have to feed him through these G tubes. You're gonna have to put his medication through these G tubes. And just imagine like all that mentally was happening to me.
Yeah.
And I was
It's a lot.
embarrassed. I was embarrassed. I
That's
didn't want to tell
why,
nobody. I felt ashamed. Like everyone's around me having healthy kids and I have a child with a disability. I have a
You
child with a
can't
trait.
blame
Yeah.
yourself.
I was blaming myself and I'm like, how do I explain this? So I used to come to work still and people ask me how he was doing. I'm like, he's fine, he's fine.
now that you mentioned that, I remember you pregnant and then obviously you were gone and I assumed you had your baby, and then when you came back, I could have never guessed that you had lost your baby.
Yeah. When I came
And
back, it's about the time he passed. Yeah.
So you
the
were going through this
strength,
yourself.
Yeah.
like the strength that it takes, like you were literally, I could have never, like, I couldn't tell that you had lost your baby. That's It's crazy to me that you had to go through that alone. Like
I
I,
mean,
you know, really wish that you
nah,
didn't have to.
but like, looking back at it, I wish I wasn't ashamed to
Yeah,
talk about it or tell it. Like, yeah, I have my, my husband with me, but it was just me dealing with it on my own. Like,
yeah,
I was ashamed to say anything. And when I came back to work, you know how hard it was for me to like hold that in because we were working with kids.
yeah,
So when newborns would come in my head, I'm like, I didn't have an opportunity to do a newborn screening with a pediatrician. I didn't have the chance to like pack his baby bag, and I didn't get to do half of the normal things that people would do. And then to have, certain family members be like, oh, why did this happen to you? I'm already blaming myself. So like you making it worse.
Mhm.
And to watch your kid like go through that is like a whole different feeling. So it was just it was different. It was
yeah,
different.
Who was your support system then?
It was my husband and hospital staff, honestly, like the social workers, the nurses. We were there for 10 months.
He was transferred when he was 2. That means that he was in the hospital for 8 months. And if he was discharged, did they give you a discharge with hope go live your life, or was it there's nothing we can do, enjoy your baby? Like what was it said?
The So with the discharge, it was basically, I'm be going home with the child with disability. I'm be going home with, I had 24-hour nursing care. I had appointments with specialists, a whole bunch of ton appointments with specialists. That's why I ended up leaving the job I was at because I had to. But it was like he's going to live, like, but you're going to be dealing with a disabled child because
Mm-hmm.
he had the trait, the G2, had other health issues, but it was it was like in hopes that he would thrive,
Mm-hmm.
and he just went right back the next day. Not
mm,
because they were like, oh, let's. I get what you're saying. It's not like, oh, let's send him home one day. He's gonna, pass. You just let him experience. No, it was okay, mom. You got this. These are the appointments, the doctors you have to follow up with, medications you have to give on your own. You have 24-hour nursing care, and he went back because of the nursing care. She didn't know what she was doing, and the doctors sent us home like with special instructions, especially since he was on a ventilator and with oxygen
mhm,
now. She increases oxygen level, which the doctors had him like on a particular level, and then his heart was not pumping right with the level she put it on. So we had to call 911 and they had to transport him back to the hospital. And from there, he just like never came out.
oh,
So
So it's like the medical field failed you twice.
yeah, it was just From there, he went back and never came back home from there. But it was just a lot. Even with him being home for one day, I kept asking like, "Is this my life now?"
Mm-hmm.
Because we literally stayed in a one-bedroom apartment. Now I have 24-hour nursing care coming, one in the morning, one coming at night.
mm,
And then that one night that she was there, like imagine his crib was in the room, and I'm just trying to sleep, and like imagine I feel like she was staring at me, and I'm like, this is uncomfortable.
oh my God,
Like your new
And it
life.
was, yes, and it was like not much space, and we're already talking about moving to a bigger space because now we have like several oxygen tanks in the house, for backups. We have a huge ventilator, and life after being in the hospital for so long is different. And nobody talks about that because even if
yeah,
your child doesn't like have disabilities, imagine like a mom who has a kid in a NICU and comes home. It's like, wait, what am I doing? Because you had nursing staff, you had people doing majority of things for
The
you.
things for you, yeah.
You know, it's like you get used to that. So now I'm home. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta give his medication. Okay, I have to write this on the board. I have to make sure I suction him out. And it's like, it's a whole. I'm like, this is my life now. So it was different, and he had to get transported through ambulance. So there wasn't a child I could just put in the back seat of the car because he had a ventilator.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I was already preparing, like, okay, I have to call, for transport to bring him to pediatrics. I had to it's like, we've seen kids come to the office with these issues,
Hmm.
but I would have never thought this would have been my life. Because
Yeah.
again, I had a healthy pregnancy.
So you are on your way to the hospital. He's not doing well. What's going through your mind at that moment? And walk me through that when you get there.
So even the paramedics who came, it's like everyone was dropping the ball. Even that day when we called 911 to pick him up, the paramedics forgot to turn the oxygen on when he got into the ambulance. So I'm watching my child turn blue, literally, because he
Oh my
can't breathe,
God.
because he needs ventilation and he needs oxygen. So that's when I was like, he's turning blue, and that's when they was like, oh, we forgot to turn it on. And so from driving up to the ER, like it was just like boom, 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 because they had to hurry up and hook him up, and it's just like, I'm like, is this really happening right now? Like, is this really happening right now? And then they're like, Mom, you have to admit him. So imagine me being happy, and I have videos of like everyone like coming out and like signing his board, good luck at home, Jace. Like, we're so proud
Hmm.
of you. Having a whole celebration with him going home, bubbles being blown, to the next day going right back. And now I'm being
Yeah.
admitted again. It's like, wow.
That must have been really hard.
But at the same time, I was kind of relieved because now I'm back in the care of doctors and nurses. Like,
That can
but
help you.
I would have never imagined that would have been his last time. Like, that would have been his first and last time leaving that place. I would have never thought that at all. Because we had
When
hopes.
yeah, and when he's admitted, what did that doctor say?
They brought him up, and they were like, they're going to monitor him. That's when they told me about, the oxygen level, his heart. And then the day before he passed away May 12th. He passed away that Sunday. That Monday, they was going to take him to the cath lab to start working on his heart. And he didn't make it. So they were in the process of, we're just going to keep him here a little longer, and we're just going to do the heart surgery. But in the middle of that, I'll never forget, because it used to be different doctors. It used to be a rotation. So it used to be different doctors. Like every week was different doctors. And it was one doctor, it was a male doctor, I would never forget. He literally told me, like, your son could die any second. But I had other doctors telling me, no, he's going to be fine. What he did. And he just literally told me, like, it's not looking too good.
What were those doctors basing that? Like the doctors that were telling you everything was going to be fine. Were they just telling you to make you feel better, or did they
I,
actually have like evidence that it was going to be fine?
I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Because I even had one doctor in rotation said, put him in not a nursing home, but like a facility that take care of kids, like, because I
Hmm.
won't be able to care for him on my own.
Okay.
And then that other doctor came on and was like, listen, since he returned back, we haven't been able to keep his sats where it needs to be. We have to increase his oxygen to, to keep things running, and it's not looking too good. And then slowly but surely, as that day was arriving, like that day arrived, he went from a normal room to having to go into like PICU, the pediatric ICU. And I just felt again something was wrong. Something was going to
Yeah.
happen. And I just a motherly thing, I would say. But I will never forget that day. Like that morning, I went when they called me. It's like, oh, we have to transfer him to the pediatric ICU. Um, I went and I just kept crying that day. And then the social worker came. She was like, "Why are you crying, mom? He's gonna be okay." And I'll never forget telling her like, I don't ever want to come to make a decision whether to pull the plug or to keep my son alive.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, no, why would you say that? But just imagine as a mom, you're thinking, do I keep fighting for my child or do I just say, pull the plug? And she was
Yeah,
like,
because you
no,
also don't want him to suffer.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I just remember like, no, she's like, no, everything's gonna happen. And I would never, like that day is like, it like replays in my head every day. I just remember looking at him and he was 10 months old. He can't talk. But I just remember looking in his eyes, like staring in his eyes, and he looked at me. And then just from him looking at me, he like called me crazy, but he literally like said, "Mommy, I'm sorry, but I'm tired."
Hmm.
And I just remember like crying. I said, "It's okay. Mommy's not angry. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay." And he just kept putting like every time I got closer, he just kept putting his like face in my cheeks. And even my husband eventually came, and he was getting that same feeling like something is going to happen. And I was there from 6 a.m. They forced me to leave like around 11:30 because I didn't want to leave because I had a feeling something was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, "Mom, he's going to be fine. You've been here all day. You didn't eat." And I was like, "No, no." I just remember my husband was like, "Yeah, let's just go home, change, get something to eat." And I felt like Jace waited for me to leave. I don't
Yeah.
think he wanted to pass in front of me. And I left. I remember kissing him goodbye. And I got home. We took a shower. And the moment I sat on the bed, I get a call from the hospital. And I'm like, oh, they're probably calling me to update me because they said it was going to update me about him. And once I said hello, they was like, Mom, we need you to get here right now, ASAP. And I just remember, like, I just threw on whatever I could, like, just, and then we just raced down I 95. Like, I'm surprised there was no state trooper, with no cop. Like, the speed we got there, I must remember how fast we got there. We got there fast. And we parked in valet, and they didn't even question us. We just like, here, here. We ran upstairs. And then I just remember the doctor coming out. I still seen him trying to like do CPR again on him. This is my second time seeing him do this. And I just remember the doctor coming out, and she was just shaking her head and she was crying. And then she said, Mommy, like, I'm sorry. And I just passed out. At the moment I passed out. And I woke up in the emergency room. And it's crazy because I had a picture because my house flooded 2 years ago, and I was going through everything, and I guess a flashback came, and it showed like my discharge paper. My blood pressure was like 151 over 103, and it says like grieving, and I forgot a thing, but it was like I'm like wow. And then I told the doctor I just want to go back upstairs to my son, and then they were like he understood the situation and he let me go.
Oh,
I
that's
went
good.
upstairs and I don't much remember calling my friends, but the people I was close with at the time, they came. They came. They were in the room, and I just held them until he turned ice cold.
Oh my
Like
God.
I just held them. They didn't come bother me. I just held them, and like I said, it was Mother's Day, so now I'm getting texts, Happy Mother's Day, and this and that. So it's just like
For the people from the people that didn't know.
that didn't know.
The-
Yeah, and then eventually I posted it on Facebook, and I was just the amount of people who were concerned and people who were just nosy. Because again, a lot of people
Yeah.
didn't know he had, issues,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
it was just a lot. And I was in a very dark place for a while. I didn't go back to work in a while. Like I was just like, And eventually, when I did come back, I called HR and said that to speak to all the office managers to let everybody know not to mention my child or anything.
It's a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if some people who weren't there when the message came out, and I'll never forget one of the doctors came, she's like, "Oh my God, how's your baby?" And then one of the girls like pulled her to the side, and she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know," and I just started crying.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wanted to run away. Like I didn't want to be remembered. Like,
Yeah.
and I didn't want people to have pity for me either, because I feel like everybody was walking around me like
Like,
tiptoeing, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want that either. And it was just like I don't know, like I don't like. And I always tell people I'm not the person who I was before grief came.
mhm.
And I miss that person. But grief changes you. It changes you.
Yeah.
Changes the way you think. Changes the way you process things. Changes the way you see life. And that's why people say life is short. Like, tell me about it. My firstborn only lived for 10 months.
Yeah.
And I suffer from PTSD so bad. Like, it's crazy.
I'm
And
sorry that you had to go through that by yourself. Not well, you had your husband, but
yeah, but
um,
as a mom, it's a whole different. Like,
yeah.
you feel alone.
Yeah.
And I went through support groups because he passed away in May. I found out I was pregnant in December, and I had a miscarriage in January. So it was like
Oh my
boom, boom,
God.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
It was just a different feeling. When I found out I was pregnant with him, it was a shock to me, the doctors, my husband, everybody. I was just like,
How long after that?
so miscarriage was January. 2 weeks after my miscarriage, I was pregnant again.
Wow.
You were looking to get pregnant?
No, absolutely not. Because I'm like, why does this keep happening to me? And I'm like, and I'll never forget after the miscarriage, I was so upset. And I'm very big on my religion. I believe God. And I was still upset with God for losing my firstborn. Because why would you do that to me?
Yeah.
And then the miscarriage, I'm like, why is this happening to me? And I will never forget my dad was like, why is this happening to you? Like your sisters are fine. I'm already beating myself up about this. Like I'm blaming myself.
Yeah.
I'm blaming my body. Like maybe, I used to drink too much in the past. Maybe, I
You
wasn't,
start thinking about everything that
yeah.
you've done. Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, I'm already beating myself up about this. And I remember like God spoke to me and was like, I took this miscarriage child away from you because you would have went through the same thing you did with your firstborn. But this time I wasn't going to be able to take you out of a dark place. And then when I
Mm.
said I was in a really dark place after I lost my Jace, it was bad. So when I
Yeah.
found out I was pregnant with Cairo, I didn't tell anybody. I was
Mm.
scared. My
Yeah.
Yes.
mom, my mom and dad didn't find out until I was 8 months pregnant, and it was around COVID, so everything was
Oh my
already shut
God.
down. So I
Yeah.
didn't have to see anybody.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just going to the grocery stores. I was just high. Like I remember I ran into somebody I seen, and like they didn't see me. Like I just held, like I hid. Like I'm like, are they gone? Because I was scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. In your mind, were
So
you scared that you will go through the same thing?
yes, I was scared I was gonna go through the same thing. Just afraid because of everything. Like,
Yeah.
how do I go about telling people again that I lost another child?
Yeah.
So I'd rather go through this alone, and if God forbid something happens, nobody would know. Like it's me, because you hear stories about people having multiple miscarriages and infertility issues. So, and I thought I was gonna be that person. And I remember going through every appointment because I was considered high risk at this point because of my firstborn with anxiety. Because I'm like, okay, they're
Mm.
gonna tell me something. Like the moment they did like the genetic testing to see or to check his heart, it was just me like, oh my God, like what is gonna happen? What is the results? And then the moment like everything was negative, like I'm like, I literally gave birth. I didn't have a car seat. I didn't have diapers. I didn't have because I was afraid that he wasn't gonna come home.
Oh my
I
goodness.
didn't like I was.
You were just expecting for the worst, and if something great happened, you were gonna be thankful.
Yes. Literally that, like the day before they told us we were going home, I was like, babe, you have to go to Target. We gotta. And the crazy thing is, Target didn't have Target didn't have a car seat at the time. So what we had to do was, I didn't want to get rid of Jay's things at the time, so it was in a storage unit. So he went to go grab the car seat that belonged to Jay's. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like made me feel bad because I'm like, this is not for you.
Oh,
And I didn't bond with him the first few months. I didn't bond with him because I felt like I don't deserve to be happy. And that's when the
oh my
postpartum
God.
came really bad.
Yeah.
I was like, why are you here and Jason's not here?
Mm.
Like, this was his clothes. He didn't get to wear his clothes. Like, now you're wearing it. Like, it was like that. And then my husband was working out of the state out of the time. And I was by myself during COVID with a newborn,
Oh my
postpartum.
God.
And mind you, family, my mom and dad and sister find out about it, but friends didn't know. So I didn't have nobody to call. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going through this. Like, I'm going late. It was terrible. And plus, on top of that, I was a scheduled C-section because, once a C-section is out of a C-section,
Yeah.
Mhm.
my water
Not
broke.
always though.
And no, my water
That's
broke.
good.
I had a vaginal birth with
Oh
him.
my
Yay.
So I
That's
god!
got to
good.
experience that. And
Did you
another
have an
trauma.
epidural?
Yeah, I did. And I just
Oh,
remember
girl,
like going
I'm
through
scared of
like
that
labor.
needle.
Oh no,
That
I don't do
needle.
well with pain. I do not do well with pain. I would never forget like when I was like, it was like, oh, you're 3 centimeters dilated, this and that. Like every dilation would come, and I'm like,
You
is it
felt
too
it.
late for? I'm like, is it too late for a C-section? And I would never forget. I called my mom. I was like, how did you have 6 kids? How?
Oh my
And then she was
God.
like, I didn't see you. I'm like, and I was like that ring of fire. Like there was like,
The
oh,
worst. Yeah.
Mm.
there's like a baby was coming. I was like, and I just remember I pushed, baby came out. They was like, Dad, you want to cut the umbilical cord? He ended up passing out. And it was just like everything was happening. I'm like,
That's so funny.
How
Like
was
the
it
movies.
your baby again? How was it seeing this newborn?
I was in shock. Because remember the traumatic experience I went through with my firstborn is like, now I'm able to get a vaginal delivery, which I always wanted. I haven't been induced. My water broke on its own. I'm experienced them putting him on like the scale to weigh him and clean him. I'm able to see all this. So it
Hmm.
was just like, is this really happening? Like I felt like I
Like a
was in a
surreal.
dream. Yeah, like, and then when they moved me to the mother and baby unit, I'm like, it's a baby right next to me. And they're like, oh mom, you have to breastfeed. I'm like, this is really happening. Like this is, I was able to experience him getting his first bath, give
Yeah.
him his first bottle. But once we got home, it was just like postpartum came.
Oh man.
Mm. Yeah.
And I was in a support group after Jake's passed.
Honestly, I want to know, when did you allow yourself to feel happy again?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm recently now finding myself again. I feel like I had a child. Having Cairo changed. Like I didn't get a chance to grieve. Then I had other people looking at me for support too. The group I was in, it's children bereavement group. I was the first mom or parent on there that lost a child. So I was in a group of people who lost people, but not kids. So
Oh.
like we had to like do introductions. Like at the time it was in person before COVID came. And they were like, oh yeah, I lost my mom or I lost my spouse or I lost a sister. And I'm like, oh, I lost my 10-month-old son. And everybody just like, Like, so then I'm like, okay, I feel alone because, of course, I don't
You
want
can't
nobody to go
relate.
through it, but I'm like, nobody could relate. Like,
Yeah.
as much as therapy I could see, as much, you know, groups I could go to, I didn't have that connection. Like, everyone lost was different. I lost a
Yeah.
child, a baby, an infant. And then eventually, sad to say, more people started getting added to this group that lost infant. But I'm like the originator because now they separated regular loss and then they had an infant and toddler loss. So then it's like when people will come in, imagine I'm like the face and it's like everyone will come in. The facilitator was there, but it was me. So there's like, and then after when I had, you know, Cairo, people were like asking a question like how was life is after, you know, giving
Grief.
birth. Like, how do you seem so strong? You know, how are you able to do this, do that? And then people will vent to me, and I'm like, I'm still grieving. Like, I'm
Yeah.
still going through it, but I'm trying to stay strong for everybody.
But you
And then
shouldn't
that's,
have to.
and that's why, like, I look back at it, I'm like, I didn't really give myself permission to
To
be
grieve.
happy and
Yeah.
to grieve.
Yeah.
And just for me to be happy, I felt so guilty.
Yeah.
I felt so guilty. I'm like, I do not deserve to be happy. I do not deserve to have another child. And when I say postpartum was really bad, I didn't want him. I was going to drop him off at the fire department.
Oh.
And again, I'm by myself. My husband is working out of the state. It's COVID. I don't want nobody around because we don't know what's
Hmm.
going on. And I eventually gave him an ultimatum. I was like, you need to come back home because I'm by myself. I'm sleep deprived. I'm going through PTSD. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going through postpartum. And then at the time, he had lost his mom. So it's like,
Oh
imagine
my
losing a
gosh.
child, his
The mom.
mom, and a newborn. And he wasn't getting attached to me. He wasn't bonding with him either. I think we were more afraid too because, like, we bonded with our firstborn for 10 months and then he was taken from us.
Yeah.
And it was like any little thing I was going to the doctors for because I was scared. I wanted to make sure that he was okay. Like, he'll cough
Hmm.
for like 2 seconds. I'm like, nope, we're making an appointment. Nope. And they had to like, Mom, he's fine. I like, he'll throw up. And sometimes I didn't even trust the doctors. I'm like, y'all failed me already.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot. It was a lot. And it just had to I just had to push myself out of that dark place. Push myself out of postpartum. And I would say the last year or two was when I'm like I felt happy. And I felt like I had let myself go. I started gaining weight. And nobody talks about that, like, you know, after you give birth, you know, the weight gain and not having time for yourself because now you're taking care of a newborn. Is like your the newborn phase. Oh, everybody, some people love it. I'm like, oh my god, that was the ghetto. No, don't take me back
I
there.
mean, the newborn stage alone, it's already hard. So I can even imagine having to go through that while still grieving.
Yeah, and with
Like it's
COVID,
just, and with COVID, and you're alone. So it's
Mm-mm.
wow.
and I'm proud of myself for pushing myself. Like, I just kept saying, you know what, this baby don't deserve this. He deserved better. I have to be a better mom. You know, and I just kept pushing myself, and then eventually that bond
You
came.
got
It's
out.
like we're inseparable. Like, he can't go like a moment without me. So
Cairo knows about.
yes,
His
I
brother.
have. I'm not sure if you can see, but on this
Oh,
wall, he's on the bottom row. Jason's on the bottom row. And he asks about him. He'd be like, you know, and then when that time came, it was hard. Like, how do I explain to a 5-year-old?
yeah.
You know, I had to tell him, he's like, what, where's my brother? And I'm like, he's in heaven. Why is he in heaven? I'm like, he was sick. Why was he sick? You know, can we go see him? I'm like, not right now. But,
We'll be together.
and then, like, he eventually took what I said wrong because when I told him that his brother was sick and that's why his brother passed. So he was like, it was one day his teacher got to go. But I guess they were telling the kids that the teacher was sick, like, you know. And then he was like, "Oh, mommy, my teacher died." I'm like, what do you mean
Oh,
she died? He was like, "Oh, she was sick." I'm like, no. Or he'd be like, "Mommy, you're sick, so that means you're sick, so that means you're gonna die." I'm like, okay,
oh
so how?
no.
And that's when I was like, your brother's heart was weak. Like he
Yeah.
had a weak heart. So it was like it was. I was like, I'm not ready for this. So it's like he still asks questions, and every year the hospital that he was transferred to, they do like a butterfly release ceremony for the kids who were lost, and I go to them every year, and I take them with me, for memory. And this year was the first time after, because this happened, Jace passed away 2019. So this year was the first time after so many years I was able to see the doctor who was there that night he passed. Like we
That's sad.
reconnected. We both cried. She didn't have no kids. She was an older doctor. She didn't have no kids. So with Jace being in the hospital for that extended amount of time, that was her baby. Like even
Mm.
if she wasn't on call or rounding, she'll make her wait every day just to go see him. Even on her days off, she'll come. She'll
Mm.
read books to him. Like she'll stop by. That was her baby. So
Oh.
for her to be the doctor that day he passed, that's why I said she cried when she came out.
Yeah.
And she said that her and the fact that she kept telling me she was sorry, and I kept telling her it's okay because she was like, we're gonna get him home. Like she had hopes.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to see each other that day, we hugged each other for like a good 10 minutes and
Mm.
just cried. And then she said it again 7 years later. She kept still kept saying, "I'm so sorry." And I
Oh.
told her it's okay. It wasn't your fault. And it made
Yeah.
me realize you don't know what these doctors go through. You don't know
Yeah.
what they, because pretty sure she's seen a lot of kids pass away.
Yes.
And the crazy thing is, I would say 2 years at no, yeah, 2 years after his death, I ended up working at the hospital he passed away at.
How was that? Was that hard for you?
Oh, I couldn't walk on the floor. That the floor that he passed away on, I couldn't walk on that floor. Um, every time I see the nurses or doctors, I'll like try to avoid it because it was the first few years is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then I joined the NICU committee. I joined the PICU committee. I started talking to parents who are going through the same thing, or
That's amazing.
because at that time I felt alone. A young mom, firstborn in the NICU, have all these issues. So now that I give parents like some reassurance that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
And
very important. You mentioned before that you felt like even with your pregnancy that you felt like you couldn't tell people because you wanted to keep it to yourself for a while. Or like even about the miscarriage. I wish that women didn't feel like they had to hide that or feel ashamed that, oh, why am I having these miscarriages?
and I and
It's
I and I and I wish the same thing too. But I'm happy to see a lot of people are with social media are talking about it now. Because it's like
yeah,
people like, hey, like I have infertility issues. This is like my sixth miscarriage. But before then, people are
it wasn't
ashamed
happening.
because you feel like your body like betrayed you. Like
Yeah.
like why is this
Like
happening
you
to
feel
me?
like
Because
something wrong with you.
yeah, because you see
Yeah.
everyone around you having healthy kids, healthy pregnancies, and now you're like, what's going on with me? Like
Yeah.
and I advocate so much now for postpartum because people don't talk about it enough or they didn't talk about it in the past. It needs to
Mm-hmm.
make it seem like moms are just, oh, we're crazy or we're just lazy or we just don't want to take care of a newborn. But imagine somebody being sleep deprived, like not even losing a kid.
Yeah.
Imagine being sleep deprived, not getting no help or being the sole person doing everything.
Yeah.
Like,
And we're just supposed to get over it.
yeah,
We're just
And go back to work after three
yeah.
months
Yeah.
yeah.
while
And
feeding
I,
and taking
yeah,
care. It's a lot.
breastfeed, go to work after what? How many months they give us? Like 3 months?
Three
Yeah.
months.
Just act like everything is normal. Having to find childcare, find somebody to use trustworthy for your kid.
Yeah.
Some people don't have the luxury, being stay at home, and even being stay at home, that's a full time job,
Yeah.
like 24/7, like nonstop, mommy, changing diapers,
Girl.
feeding.
And let's not even talk about the fact that you were grieving, which I don't know how the policy is where you were working, but like the agency I work gives you 5 days for grieving the loss of a
In five
knee.
days, nothing.
5 days.
Like, what is 5 days? What is that supposed to do?
This is what capital, society tells you. You need to move on, but we don't move on.
Yeah, it was 3 days, 3 days of bereavement.
Oh my god.
But however, at the time when I was working, where we were working at, they were very understanding because I took 2 months.
Oh god.
And I told them like, "Hey, I'm ready." But the first day I went there, I was not ready. But no, it took. And then I still have his bag from the hospital and everything that I have not opened up. Yeah,
Mm.
I see it, and I'm like, I want to build the courage one day to just go through it. I did the first night I came back without him, but I don't even remember what's in there anymore. But I want to do it, but I'm like, I'm afraid.
Mm.
And he was
Yeah.
cremated, so I have a little tiny baby urn with his ashes in there. My friends, when they went to see Jace when he passed, they did a footprint thing for me to have a memory. I have the pieces of his hair. I have little things, but I haven't had the courage to
To
look
go
at
through
them.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because even the storage unit that had all his things, I would have find myself sitting there like once a week, just
Hmm.
there. And eventually, I had to give up the storage unit.
How do you spell his name?
It's Jayce.
Daisy.
Jace.
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 How do you keep his memory alive?
His anniversaries are always, talk about it. And you've seen that on my social media.
Mm-hmm.
Birthdays, I still celebrate birthdays, even though some people be like, oh, like, isn't that too sad? And I'm like, no. And I'll never forget somebody told me, like, you're still grieving. And I blocked them immediately. Because you cannot, like, I'm like, just
That
be
is,
glad that you're not going through something that I'm going through.
Oh God, I
and
can't.
grieving, I feel like it's not something that you stop doing or it goes away. That's, it's,
Mm.
I had a friend whose daughter would have been 18. Her daughter was murdered when she was 2 years old.
oh my God.
And to this day, she still grieves.
No,
Of course.
there will
Like,
always be a line of before and after.
oh, you should I hear some of the things I was being told, like, oh, you're young, you'll have another one. Or, like, oh, he was suffering. Or, and now, like, I have family members were like, oh, you made him go through all that surgery and he still didn't survive. Like, it was some of the stuff I would hear. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
bro. And it's like people say the darndest thing. Like, they just don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you that, what were some of the like the hurtful things that people would say or do while you were grieving, whether it was intentional or unintentional. I feel like there's just some certain things that you don't say.
Yeah, and the certain boundaries you
If
don't
you
cross.
don't
Yeah.
if you don't have that capacity to be empathetic or to relate, just don't say anything.
And
You
that's why
know, it's
sometimes, like, I I be catching myself sometimes because when people ask me how many kids I have, like, I would never not claim my
count
my
him.
first one. I'm like, I
Yeah.
have two, one in heaven and one
Hmm.
here. And sometimes people, like, you can see, like, the sadness just like cover their face. I'm like, I didn't say
Yeah.
that to make you sad, but I'm just,
I mean, it's
And
the truth.
then
It's reality. You have two babies.
yeah, and then one lady was like, oh, so you have one? I'm like, no, I have two. I birthed two kids. My son lived till he was 10 months old. He was an actual human being. So I have two kids, one in heaven, one here. And it's just like some of the people, I had to learn that common sense is not common. And
At all.
sometimes people just, I can't get mad at what they say anymore.
Mm-mm.
Because they used to affect me to like bother me. And then I'm like,
How about what are some of
Yeah.
the things that we can say to loved one friends that are going through similar stories like yours?
never feel bad about bringing their kids up, their like kids up. Never. Like, we love talking about our kids. Like, and I know that, not just speaking for myself. Remember, I'm in a support group. Like, we
Mhm.
don't like when people like try to. We don't like people forgetting. Like, don't forget
Yeah.
about them, and don't feel so sorry for us that you feel like, oh, we want to enjoy a night out or we can't go out for drinks. We're still the same. Like, although grief change, I want to say we're still the same. We're still human.
Of
Like,
course, you should
don't
still
don't
be
treat us
able to
different.
enjoy your life as much as you can, you know.
And and words of encouragement, like remembering anniversaries, remembering birthdays, things like that really matters. Like when people randomly text me on like the death anniversary on his birthday, I'd be like, "You still remember?" Like, and
Yeah.
I love that. Like, on the anniversary, they're like, I know today's a hard day for you, just to let you know that I have people send me like edible arrangements those days, like little things like that what makes someone day, because sometimes we already feel like we're alone in this. So
Hmm.
just be supportive, but also don't dim that light on us, like we are not human. Like, still
Yeah.
invite us out. Like, the amount of people I used to have around me before this happened to the amount of people that was still around after
Mm,
that, it would amaze you.
mm,
Wow.
And
You know, I know that for Mother's Day, I wrote you on Instagram saying Happy Mother's Day. Um, I didn't know that that was the anniversary that your son passed. So,
I don't feel, in the past I would have felt bad,
hmm,
but I am a mother regardless of how I feel,
yeah.
regardless of the day.
So it's kind of
And
like
I
a
have found,
bittersweet.
yes,
Yeah.
it's really bittersweet because for a while I didn't want to celebrate that holiday. But then I was like, I can't do that to my 5-year old.
yeah.
Hmm.
I can't be like, no, I'm not celebrating that. He don't understand
Yeah.
that, so
No, he's a
I'm a
happy.
mother.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and doing it like with so much. I know it's been
Grace.
but so much grace.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm happy to share on the platform. And um, like I said, I really haven't really openly talk about it, and it's a lot more. But like I told Pam, it might be a part two coming, but but
We
it's
definitely
just a
can do
lot.
that.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of strength. I mean, I know you probably heard so many people tell you, "Oh, you're so strong," but it honestly really takes strength and resilience to go through what you went through. And I hope that whoever is went through or is going through the same thing that you did can relate to you and find some comfort or connection with you. Yeah, and I really hope that mothers don't feel ashamed of whatever it is that they're going through, like miscarriages or a loss, that they don't have to go through it alone. So I really wish that more women would talk about it openly and not feel shameful.
But society makes it hard for you to like.
Yeah.
Let's say you have people blaming you for things that you had no control over. But
Yeah.
I really wish more people talk about it, and you might be the voice. You guys might be the voice to change that.
Yeah, but I think it was very smart of you to look for a support group that can help you like deal with these emotions and somebody people that you could relate.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you said you didn't find that, but just that just shows that you wanted to get out of that darkness and you wanted.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanna say? Do you wanna maybe mention anything that your son taught you? Any way that we can keep his memory alive?
Just keep saying his name, like but just keep helping other moms, and encouraging other people. Keep doing what you ladies are doing, because I would have never thought I would have opened up to talk about his story. And I wish we had more time to discuss everything, because it's a lot. But I'm just happy. But I just hope that, like, you ladies said, when I hope people are not afraid to talk about things or ask for help or ask for
Yeah,
support, and know that they're not alone. But just keep doing what you ladies are doing, and that's supporting enough. Giving
thank,
people a platform to talk.
Yeah.
thank you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with Clarita, and thank you for sharing your story with us. And before we go, we do want to take a deep breath in and let this be your reminder that it is okay to slow down, embrace your face, embrace your growth. And thank you for being here with us on Different Faces.